What is courage? Our culture paints a very specific picture: the soldier on the battlefield, the hero facing down a monster. We associate courage with grand physical acts in the face of mortal danger. And while that is certainly a form of courage, it is a tragically incomplete definition. What about the courage it takes to have a difficult conversation with a loved one? The courage to admit you were wrong, the courage to start a new business when you fear failure, the courage to sit with a painful emotion without distracting yourself, the courage to choose integrity when a lie would be easier. This quiet, internal, everyday courage is often the hardest kind to practice. The Stoics understood this. For them, courage was not an emotion, and it certainly was not the absence of fear. A man who feels no fear is not brave, he is merely reckless or foolish. Stoic courage is a virtue. It is a form of wisdom. It is the rational knowledge of what should be feared and what should not. And spoiler alert, for a Stoic, the only thing truly worth fearing is the corruption of your own character. In this masterclass, we will dissect the Stoic art of courage. We will learn that it is not a trait you are born with, but a skill you can train. We will explore the different arenas where it is tested: the physical, the moral, and the everyday. And we will learn the practical exercises the Stoics used to become people who could act virtuously, even when they were afraid. This is not a guide to becoming fearless. This is a guide to becoming brave. To conquer fear, we must first understand it. What are we actually afraid of? If you make a list, it will likely include things like illness, poverty, public speaking, losing our reputation, being rejected, and ultimately death. The Stoics looked at this entire list and came to a stunning conclusion: none of these things are actually evil. This is where the Stoic theory of value becomes so critical. As we've discussed, the Stoics argued that the only true good is virtue, a state of excellent moral character. The only true evil is vice, a corrupt character. Everything else, your health, your wealth, your reputation, your very life, they categorized as indifference. This doesn't mean they don't matter. It's obviously preferable to be healthy rather than sick, or wealthy rather than poor, but they are indifferent to your moral worth. You can be a good, brave, just person while being sick. You can be a good, brave, just person while being poor. Therefore, these things cannot be true evils. The only thing that can make you a bad person is your own choice to act without virtue. This insight is the foundation of all Stoic courage. As Epictetus said, death and pain are not frightening. It's the fear of death and pain that is frightening. We are not afraid of the things themselves, but of our judgments about them. We have judged that poverty is a catastrophe. We have judged that public speaking is a terrifying threat, but these are just judgments, and our judgments are within our control. The Stoic trains themselves to fear only one thing: a compromised will. The fear is not, will I get sick, but if I get sick, will I still be a good person? Will I be patient? Will I be courageous? The fear is not, will they laugh at me, but will I have the courage to speak the truth anyway? By shifting the object of your fear from externals to internals, you place it squarely within your circle of control, and that is the beginning of the end of fear. Let us first enter the most ancient and visceral arena of courage, the arena of the body. This is where we confront pain, illness, hardship, and our own mortality. Stoic physical courage is not about being a reckless daredevil or ignoring danger. It is the rational endurance of hardship for the sake of a higher purpose. The first principle is to understand the nature of pain. As Epictetus would say, it is our judgment about the pain, not the pain itself, that truly breaks us. We add a second layer of suffering with thoughts like, I can't stand this, or this will never end. The Stoic trains to strip away these judgments and see the sensation for what it is: just a signal in the nervous system. They endure it without adding a story of victimhood. The ultimate case study in this is Vice Admiral James Stockdale. For 7.5 years in a Vietnamese POW camp, he faced systematic torture. How did he survive? By clinging to the teachings of Epictetus. He knew his captors controlled his body. They could break his legs, starve him, inflict unimaginable pain. That was all external. But his will, his character, his choice on how to interpret that pain, that was his alone. He separated his physical self from his inner self. He would mentally retreat into the citadel of his mind, observing the pain as if it were happening to someone else. He maintained his freedom in a place designed to destroy it. This applies to all physical challenges. When facing a grueling workout, the Stoic reminds themselves they are choosing this discomfort to build strength. When facing an illness, they focus not on what their body can no longer do, but on what their mind can do. Practice patience, grace, and courage. They accept the body as a preferred indifferent. It's nice to have it healthy, but it is ultimately fragile and outside our complete control. Our character, however, is not. The Stoic trains to have a mind that is tougher than any pain their body can experience. While physical courage is admirable, the Stoics believed there was a higher, more important form of bravery: moral courage. This is the courage to stand up for your principles, to speak the truth, and to act with integrity, especially when it is unpopular, inconvenient, or dangerous to do so. It is often far easier to face a physical enemy than it is to face the disapproval of your own friends, your own family, or your own society. The ultimate exemplar of this was Cato the Younger, the Stoic senator who became Julius Caesar's greatest moral adversary. In an era of rampant corruption and shifting allegiances, Cato was an immovable object. He could not be bribed. He could not be intimidated. He refused to compromise his principles for political gain. Other senators saw him as stubborn and unrealistic, but Cato understood that his character was his most valuable possession, and he would not sell it at any price. When Caesar eventually cornered him and offered a pardon, a chance to live comfortably under a new regime, Cato refused. He would not be forgiven for having been right. He chose to take his own life rather than live in a world where the principles of the Republic had been destroyed. His final act was a statement: "My integrity is worth more than my life." This is the courage of the audience of one that Marcus Aurelius wrote about. It is the courage to do what is right, even if no one is watching, or if the whole world is watching and screaming at you to do otherwise. It is the courage to ask not what is popular, but what is right. In our own lives, this moral courage is tested daily. It's the courage to speak up against an injustice at work, the courage to not participate in harmful gossip, the courage to hold true to your values when pressured to conform. It is the quiet, difficult, and essential work of protecting your inner citadel from moral corruption. Courage is not just for emperors and soldiers. If it is not practiced daily, it will not be there when the great trials come. The third arena, and perhaps the most important for us, is the arena of daily life. This is where we build the muscle of courage through small, consistent acts. What does this everyday courage look like? It is the courage to be vulnerable, to tell someone you love them first, to apologize when you are wrong, to ask for help when you need it. It is the courage to face discomfort, to have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding, to give honest feedback to an employee, to set a boundary with a family member. It is the courage to risk failure. Every time you apply for a new job, start a new project, or learn a new skill, you are exercising courage. You are stepping into uncertainty and risking your ego for the sake of growth. This is the archer's mentality in action, focusing on the quality of your effort, not the fear of missing the target. And it is the courage to be honest with yourself, the courage to look at your own flaws without flinching, to sit with your uncomfortable emotions instead of distracting yourself, to choose the hard path of discipline over the easy path of comfort. Each of these small acts is like a single rep in the gym. On its own, it may not seem like much, but performed consistently, day after day, they build a powerful reservoir of mental and moral strength. You don't become brave by waiting for a heroic moment. You become brave by practicing small braveries every single day, so that when a true crisis arrives, your courage is not something you have to search for. It is simply who you have become. Courage is a muscle, and like any muscle, it cannot be developed by simply reading about it. It must be trained through deliberate, consistent practice. The Stoics were not armchair philosophers, they were practitioners. They had a variety of exercises designed specifically to build mental fortitude and train their courage. Here are 3 of the most powerful exercises you can start using today. First, the vaccine of voluntary discomfort. We've spoken of this before, and it is the primary physical training for courage. As Seneca advised, you must set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress. Take a cold shower, sleep on the floor for a night, fast for a day. Why? This practice does 2 things. First, it constantly reminds you that you can handle hardship, reducing your fear of future loss. Second, it recalibrates your appreciation for what you have. The warm bed feels like a luxury after a night on the floor. This practice builds resilience by expanding your comfort zone until it is vast. Second, the blueprint for fear setting. This is a rational process for deconstructing your fears, adapted from Seneca's writings. Instead of letting a vague fear paralyze you, you define it with brutal clarity. Take a fear you have, for example, I'm afraid of asking for a raise. Now, on a piece of paper, you define it in 3 columns. Column 1, define. What is the absolute worst-case scenario? My boss says no, is offended, and my position becomes awkward. Column 2, prevent. What can I do to prevent this? I can prepare my arguments, document my successes, choose the right time and place to ask, and practice my delivery. Column 3, repair. If the worst happens, what would I do to get back on track? I would calmly accept the decision, ask for clear goals to work towards, and perhaps start looking for other opportunities. By writing this down, you take an amorphous fear and turn it into a series of manageable problems. You create a plan, and a plan is the enemy of panic. Third, the ladder of courage. This is gradual exposure therapy, a Stoic approach to conquering specific phobias. You break down a feared activity into a hierarchy of small, manageable steps. Afraid of public speaking? Step 1 might be just asking one question in a small meeting. Step 2, presenting one slide to your friendly team. Step 3, giving a 5-minute presentation. You don't try to leap to the top of the building. You take it one step at a time, building confidence with each small act of bravery until you look down and realize how high you've climbed. So we see that Stoic courage is a rich, multifaceted virtue. It is the physical courage to endure pain. It is the moral courage to stand for truth. And it is the daily courage to face the small discomforts of life for the sake of our own growth. It is a skill built through practical, consistent training, hardening our bodies with voluntary discomfort, and clarifying our minds with rational preparation. It is ultimately the knowledge that the only thing truly worth fearing is a weak and compromised character. But perhaps the most fundamental act of courage is the one you are performing right now. It is the courage to live a philosophical life. In a world that prizes comfort, distraction, and mindless conformity, it takes real courage to choose a different path. It takes courage to look inward and honestly examine your own flaws. It takes courage to hold yourself to a higher standard. It takes courage to question your own knee-jerk emotional reactions and to choose reason instead. The path of the Stoic is not the easy path. It is a path of constant training, self-reflection, and discipline. It is the path of a warrior of the mind. The very act of watching this video, of deciding that these ideas matter, of committing to even one small practice that is an act of profound courage. It is the first step on the path to building your own inner citadel. So do not wait for a great battle to prove your bravery. Your arena is here. Your time is now. Have the courage to begin.